Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Raghuji, Dhyana shlokas, please.
पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्तदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीप प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सत्सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयधृतजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदिकैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पीपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदः क्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Hari Om. Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Let us start. So, we have reached an inflection point. See, the structurally in chapters 1 to 6, more or less, in chapters 1 to 6, we got to know a little bit about who am I. So, that is number one. From 7 to 11, we get a view of what is this Jagat. From 12 onwards, there is a small shift. While we are still talking about this Jagat and the association with this Jagat, we start understanding how this Jagat works. And therefore, Arjuna starts by the question. Chapter 12, verse 1. Arjuna uvacha, evam satata yukta ye, bhakta swam paryupasate, ye chapyaksharam avyaktam, kesham ke yoga vittamaha. So, Arjuna is very clearly understood that I need to get in touch with this universe. I need to get in touch and be aligned with this universe. But what is the method that I should use? How do I get in touch? So therefore, he asks this question. He says, between those who are devoted with you with the form, some who worship the formless, who is more perfect? Yoga vittamaha, who is more perfect? yoga vittamaha. So then Bhagavan immediately starts off by giving answers by saying, and as usual, he summarizes his answer in the first shloka itself. He always gives the headliner first. And the headliner is the summary of everything else that he will talk about. So he says very clearly, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam, Nitya Yukta Upasate, Shraddhaya Parayo Petaste, Me Yukta Tamamataha. So Bhagavan says, those whose mind is fixed on me. Now you decide what this means. You decide that whether you want to choose this to be in form or whether you want this to be without form. But as long as your mind is fixed, you are best. The problem, my dear friend Arjuna, is that your mind is not fixed. Your mind is roaming around all over the place. So therefore, I am saying very clearly, those who fix their minds on me, they are the best. Full stop. However, now Krishna does not leave any answer unanswered, any question unanswered. So he goes on to explain very clearly what happens further. So let us start with verse number 3. We will do verse number 3 and 4 together today. Specific reason for that, but we'll see that. Ye tvaksharam anirdeshyam, ye tvaksharam anirdeshyam, avyaktam paryupasate, avyaktam paryupasate, ye tvaksharam anirdeshyam, avyaktam paryupasate, sarvatra gamachintyancha, sarvatra gamachintyancha, कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यञ्च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यञ्च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ये प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. Let us do the word meanings. Ye, who, tu, but, aksharam, kshara, perishable, akshara, imperishable, anirdeshyam, nirdeshya, defined, anirdeshya, undefined, indefinable, avyaktam, vyakta, manifest, avyakta, unmanifest, paryupasate, upasate, worship, paryupasate, worship properly, sarvatra gam, sarvatra all, pervading, gam, sarvatra gam, all pervading, achintyam, unthinkable, Kutastham, unchanging, achalam, immovable, dhruvam, eternal. These are the descriptives by negation or largely by negation that he gives for something, right? For the what we call Brahman or whatever we want to give it some name. Then he gives the methodology. Sanniyamya, restraining. Right? Yamya, to be controlling. Yama has a danda in his hand. Yama danda. Danda means that which is used for punishing, for controlling. So similarly, yamya, sanniyamya, those with restraining, controlling. Indriya gramam. Grama means collective. Indriya gramam, collective, all the senses. Indriya gramam. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samabuddhayaha, even of even intellect, samabuddhayaha, te prapnuvanti. They prapnuvanti, attain. Mam, me, eva, also. Sarva bhuta hite, the welfare of all beings, rataha, engaged. They are engaged. So he says, those who worship. Now he starts with but, te, tu. He starts with tu. But those who worship the formless aspect of the absolute, the imperishable, the indefinable, the unmanifest, the all pervading, the unthinkable, the unchanging, the eternal, the immovable, by restraining their senses, by being even minded in all, everywhere, even minded everywhere, such persons engaged in the welfare of all beings, they also attain to me. This is what he says. Now, what does this mean? Let us look at each word individually and try and, at least intellectually, understand what that is trying to talk about. So, firstly, let us see. He says, Aksharam. Why is it imperishable? Now, look at it from an imperishability, one in the context of chapters 1 to 6, which means me, the small self. In context of what we has gone immediately before, 7 to 11. And now tell me, in context of these two separate understandings, how do we define each of these words? How do we define each of these words? How do we understand each of these words? Go ahead, anybody. Yes, please, Raghuji.
So the first 6 chapters were the Twampada. They had to do with that actual imperishable quantity that is, I can't say quantity because it's the wrong word, imperishable entity that is in us, okay? And the next 6 chapters, you're talking about the Tatpada, which is all of creation, all of cosmos, okay? He's separating the two because he's actually showing that anything that has got the Panchabhuta has to perish. It is not imperishable. So it perishes in its reality. It is also a manifestation of the Parabrahman. So that aspect can never perish, but it perishes in its reality, the virtual reality that it exists. And what doesn't perish is that one constant I, which we think is connected to this BMI, but actually is pervading all of the substratum for all of creation. So in that sense, he says you're focusing on the imperishable.
See, even at a experiential level, I is something that has never gone away from me. I.
That is my Chetana.
Correct. I, my sense of me. I. मैं कभी भी मेरे से अलग नहीं हुआ. I've never been away from me. Right? When I'm sleeping, I am I. When I'm awake, I am I. When I'm dreaming, I am I. When my body size increases, I am I. I go into doing weight reduction plan, I'm still I. That I-ness is imperishable. I cannot get rid of it. It doesn't change. Now apply this from this perspective. Apply this to all the words that we have used. Akshara. But yet, I can't define that I. Because when I try to define it, I get stuck with, oh, I am the body. No, I'm not the body. I am the mind. No, I'm not the mind. I am the intellect. No, I'm not the intellect. But what am I? Yes, please, Raghuji.
So here I faced a conundrum posed by my son. Okay. You talk about weight reduction or weight gain or whatever, and your eye remains the same. But he says, listen, all of that doesn't diminish the molecular entity that creates this functioning that is on. So when you're reducing weight, you are still not stopping your bodily functions. Okay, and they work automatically. And if you are cut off your hand, you still haven't stopped your bodily function, and thus you are alive. The moment your bodily function stops, you are no longer alive. So he says, how do you tell me that there is an entity that continues on? Because the moment the bodily function stops, I know that I will die. So you just put a pillow over against my face for long enough, and it's Shava. It's not, okay. So
So the question
how do
is,
you then say
the
that this
question
one?
is,
And well, intrinsically, I feel that
Raghuji,
yes, there is this entity,
Raghuji,
but I don't know how to
no,
explain
no,
to it.
Raghuji, the question is very simple. When he says, when the bodily function stops, I will die, what is that I which has died? Simple. Try and answer that. So find out
That
what
is
is that I.
only, yes, that is
Correct.
only
No, no,
the
no. You are.
No,
Brahmansh.
his premise is that
Therefore, his
this
premise,
this
like
I
all,
that you're talking about itself doesn't exist, and it is just an
well,
automatic.
perfect.
When all these things come together in this form, they start functioning in that way, and then you
So,
get thoughts and everything and all that, and the body functions, it wants to protect itself and all that. So
so
it's
at
this
a,
thing that
this is a standard Charvaki. This is a standard Charvaki argument, right? That since I cannot
how do you
define it,
dispel that? How do you?
no, you don't. Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself says, do not try to convince others till such point of time till you have understood it experientially, not intellectually. You do not go and try to explain this to anybody. Fine, you are right. You be where you are. Let me first discover it for myself. I believe something different. I am on my own path. You be on your path. That is the answer. There is no need to convince anybody. Our challenge is that we believe that our truths are the only truths, and therefore we go around trying to teach others those truths. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, very clearly, we saw that in chapters 5, we saw that in chapter 7, where he says, do not try to go and explain this to others. Till what time? Till you are there. Till you have attained that experiential truth of I am that eternal consciousness, awareness, existence, bliss. Till then, there is no question. And once you have attained it, as Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to say, the flower will have blossomed, the smell will go automatically. You don't need to say anything. तो नसीरुद्दीन होज्जा की बात है. नसीरुद्दीन होज्जा को किसी ने बोला कि चलिए जरा भाषण दीजिए. तो बोला कि आप किसके बारे में मैं बात करूंगा, पता है आपको? तो बोला नहीं. तो यदि पता ही नहीं है किसके बारे में बात करूंगा तो मैं बात नहीं करूंगा. So then the next time they wanted to call him, they went and told him, Nasiruddin ji, aap aiye, please give lectures. So he said, okay, do you know what I'm going to talk about? He said, yes, we know what you are going to talk about. Since you know what I'm going to talk about, there is no need to talk. Silence. So then next time they said, isme thagna padega. Half of the people came and said, no, we know. Others said, we don't know. They said, okay, those who know, explain to those who don't know. No need to talk. There is no need to go and convince anybody. No need to do it. So anyway, coming back, look at all these words. Indefinable. Today, at this point of time, experientially, can you define it? No, you cannot. It is beyond your definition. It is anirdeshya. That is why you are having a problem. Is it manifest? No, it is not manifest. That is why we are having a problem. I understand it intellectually. I understand that I sense always was there. But was it linked to the body? Was it linked to the mind? Was it linked to the intellect? I don't know. So therefore, look at it. It is anirdeshya, it is akshara, it is avyakta. It is all the time there in the entire being that today I call me. Whether it is the tip of my finger, the end of my hair, the bottom of my toe, it is there everywhere. That consciousness pervades through me. And then he goes on and says, achintyaha, and yet my mind cannot find it. Achintyaha. The Upanishad very clearly says that the eye cannot see it and the mind cannot reach it. The ear cannot hear about it. So therefore, achintyaha. Kutastha, it doesn't change. It does not. So the word kuta means anvil. Anvil, on which, the ironsmith, he puts the iron and he beats it. The anvil doesn't change. Things that form around it change. What has formed around it? We have accreted. Right? Accretion is a word I know, but accreted, I just created the word. We have accreted a lot of things to attracted it into our mind, body, intellect, composite. And we said, oh, this is me.
Accrued.
Whatever. So we have put on those layers. So as of now, the internal, it is kutastha. And it is not moved. And it has been there all the time. Achala, dhruva. But then, now, this was at my individual physical level. Today, Meenaji wrote to me with a particular message, which started with Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. Now, if the internal microcosm functions in a particular way, can I extrapolate it into the cosmos, into the macrocosm? Sankhya will stop there. You have to understand this. Sankhya stops there and says, yes, I am awareness, consciousness, bliss. Everything else is prakriti. But that leaves me with a big problem, because it says, therefore, I am Purusha, Meenaji is Purusha, Sudhir is Purusha, but this laptop is Prakriti. So I'm now left with 5, 6, 7, 25, 220 million Purushas. Doesn't solve the problem. Advaita Vedanta goes one step further and says, all these individual Purushas that you are seeing is also because of your Brahma, and which says, all of these Purushas are also only one. How that happens, we will see in chapter 13. He actually will take us through the analytical process of explaining how these two will combine. How the Purusha called, what Raghu calls his being as Purusha, and Samir calls his being as Purusha, are essentially one, is chapter 13. But at this point of time, we understand, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, I have understood it at my microcosmic level, that I have intellectually understood that I am not the BMI, is Akshara, Anirdeshya, Abhyakta, Sarvatragam, I am Achintya, I am Kutastha, I am Achala, I am Dhruva. But then, the next question, then he says, beautiful next verse. He says, because he says here, one word, he says, Pariupasate. He says, Pariupasate. How is this Pariupasana happening? How is this Pariupasana happening? He says, he describes it in the next verse. He says, Sanyam Yendriya Gramam, by controlling of the senses, which means by controlling the mind. Because the senses are through the mind. The senses are through the mind. Right? Then he says further, Sarvatra Samabuddhayaha, by being equanimous in all situations. That is the control of the intellect. And what do you do with the body? Sarvabhuta Hiterataha. You work for the welfare of others. So whatever work you are doing, you do it without the feeling of, I own this. You do it without the feeling of, I own this. You do it without the feeling of, I am doing this for myself. Look at the consistency of Krishna's teachings. Control your body and make it work. Don't sit idle. Create value. Use the value itself as worship. One Swamiji, he was, I don't remember the name. He was in a satsang, he was saying, पूजा करते हो? And somebody answered, yes, पूजा करता हूँ. कैसे करते हो? षोडशोपचार से पूजा करता हूँ. बोले वो पूजा नहीं है. पूजा तो वो है जब तुम ऑफिस में जाते हो. पूजा तो वो है जब तुम खाना खाते हो. पूजा तो वो है जब तुम नहाते हो. पूजा तो वो है जब तुम बस में एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाते हो. हर चीज पूजा है. हाँ, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तुम आरती नहीं करोगे. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तुम धूप नहीं धराओगे. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तुम नैवेद्य नहीं करोगे. मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि वही सिर्फ पूजा है. What a beautiful way of describing it. Every action that I do, is that an action that is surrendered? Is that not we learned in chapter 4? All the 24, the 12 types of yoga, all the 12 types of yajna. That is exactly what he's saying here. Sarva bhuta hite rataha. And then controlling the senses. How do you control the senses? By the control of the mind. The mind is the seat of all emotions. And emotions lead to all the indriyas working. All the karma indriyas or the jnana indriyas, they all work only under the control of the mind. The Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he was told, he was tested. So I think it was Mathur Babu. He was provoked by somebody to test him and said he keeps talking about having conquered lust. You should test him. So he managed to get two very beautiful prostitutes from the city of Calcutta. Dakshineshwar was outside Calcutta at that time. And those two prostitutes, they decked themselves up and they went, and where he was sitting, they went inside and they sat on his lap and started caressing him. And he went into samadhi. And later on, when he was asked, he said, first I saw them and I saw that two bags of pus, blood, mucus, shit, and urine had come and sat down in front of me. So I was revolted. And then I looked further and I saw it was nothing but the Divine Mother. And I merged with her. What happened? Control of the mind. The senses will not work. Do we see our wife the same way we see our sister? No. बोलते ही है ना, हम लोग कोई गाली देता है तो बोलते घर में माँ बहन नहीं है. माँ बहन को जैसे देखते हैं, बीवी को वैसे नहीं देखते हैं. मगर फिजिकल आकार दोनों का सेम है. So why is there an emotional change? Because the mind is seeing them differently. So samendriya, when he says Sanyamendriya Gramam, all of them, not just one of them, not just the eyes. And it is not about the physical closing of the eyes. It is not the physical closing of the eyes. It is not the physical closing of the earth. It is not running away into the Himalayas and saying, oh, I will not be tempted. You will carry on. Gurudev used to say this. Gurudev used to say, you can go to the Himalayas, but you will carry your mind with you, won't you? If you carry your mind with you, you will carry your entire set of problems with you. It is not about going to the Himalayas. It is about saying, can you bring the peace of the Himalayas here? Now, does this mean that you should not take a retreat into the Himalayas periodically? Oh, yes, of course you should. Do that. That's your retuning. In our last class, we talked about it. That you go to a temple, get yourself tuned again. Once your tuning is done, go and drive the car. You send your car for servicing, no? Same way here also. Look at what the Srimad Bhagavat says. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Look at the words being used. Whatever I hear is about Vishnu. Vishnu means that which is pervading this entire universe. Whatever I speak, every word that I speak is in service. This does not mean that I have to say, I'm speaking to Raghuji, I'm right now speaking. No, I should not be speaking. I should be saying Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No. That is not the meaning. The meaning is my mentally is each word only being offered as a service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all of these. And who said these? So this is the discussion between Narada and Prahlad. Prime Param Bhaktas. So therefore, he says, the Gramam, all the 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Jnanendriyas, all of them having been controlled, Sarvatra Samabuddhayaha, equanimous in all situations. Not feeling, oh, see, I am. Did he earlier somewhere say, Mana, Apamana? Did he compare both? And he talk about both. And he says, Sukha, Dukha, Shita, Ushna, and Mana, Apamana. Shita, Ushna, where is it? In the body. Sukha, Dukha, where is it? It is in the mind. Mana, Apamana, where is it? It is in the intellect. And he who has managed to control all 3 of these, he is a yogi. Same thing being repeated here. What is the upasana that he is asking for? This is the upasana. The upasana of the avyakta is done in this manner. By continuously meditating on that which is akshara, continuously being in the witness state, in the sakshi bhava, of saying, oh, the body is working. Now in chapter 9, he talked about this. And he said that this world is nothing but a play of all the things of the 5 bhutas and the 3 gunas. And they are all playing with each other. And I am only observing. I am the player. I have pervaded into this play. I am part of this play. But I am like the referee. I only see the play. I don't play the game. Right? So, I'll come back to you. So he says here very clearly, what happens to them? Te prapnuvanti. They attain me. So you may be thinking in terms of the avyakta, but the avyakta is already there within you. Somebody asked me, if I follow the path of Advaita Vedanta, what will I get? Any answer?
I think all questions will dissolve.
Okay.
So, if you follow the path of Advaita Vedanta, you know that you are Parabrahman. There's no you anymore. Hari
What will
hai,
you
main
get?
nahi. Haan.
What will you get?
So then you start, whatever you're doing, you're no longer doing it for this narrow identity.
Answer my question.
Anything you're doing it for.
Answer my question. What will you get?
Nothing.
There will be no you.
Peace of
There
mind.
will be no
Complete
you.
peace of mind.
Sir, nothing. कुछ भी नहीं ले पाएंगे हम.
There will be no
Nothing.
you.
Correct. You will not get anything.
Because there will be no you.
Because ignorance would have vanished. That is all that will happen. But what happens is, in that state, however, that small bit of identification with the body still remains, and therefore Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, keep me in bhavamukha, don't dissolve me completely, because I want to enjoy the relationship with you. Knowing fully well that you and I are the same, I still want to be a little separate so that I enjoy that play.
But isn't
So
that
when
the
we go into
Parabrahman's
the
original intention to create this virtual reality?
so Parabrahman's intention, I don't know. When I meet him, I will ask him. But then I can understand one thing, that therefore the ease of the form becomes a easier methodology. The form becomes an easier methodology. It's a methodology. And therefore, what does he say in the next verse? We will do the next verse for today. Kleshodhikarastesham avyaktasaktachetasam avyaktasaktachetasam kleshodhikatarastesham avyaktasaktachetasam avyaktahi gatir dukkham avyaktahi gatir dukkham देहवद्भिर्रवाप्यते अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिर्रवाप्यते क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिर्रवाप्यते. Klesha means trouble. Klesha, trouble. Adhikataraha, in large quantities, full of. Tesham, to those. Avyakta, to those for the unmanifest. Asaktaha, attached to. Chetasam, whose minds. Avyakta, the unmanifest. He, indeed. Gatihi, path. Dukkham, difficult, troublesome. Dehavidbhi, those who are in the body. Avapyate, is reached. So what is he saying here? For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifest, the path of realization is full of trouble. Worship of the unmanifest is exceedingly difficult for embodied beings. Ayo, now what will I do? Am I an embodied being or am I a disembodied being? Then what will I do? Now, the whole of chapter 7 to chapter 11, you kept on giving me lecture about saying you are Brahman, you are Brahman. Now you are suddenly saying this is very troublesome. Why are you so very confusing, Krishna? No, he's not confusing at all. What does he mean by embodied beings? Those who are attached to the BMI, which is all of us as of now. So, pardon this, please. My throat, as you can always, I'm sure all of you can hear my throat right now, needs some warming. So, so he says it is exceedingly troublesome. Now, in the Lalita Sahasranamam, we have a name which says that she is difficult for those to attain, for those who are outward facing. And she is easy to be attained by those who are inward looking. What does this mean? It does not mean that those who do external worship will never find her. Those who do meditation only will find her. No. It means that those who are attached to the external world will find it difficult to attain her. That is what he's talking here. When he says embodied beings, that will, by definition, everybody is embodied. Tree is embodied, stone is embodied, car is embodied, you are embodied, I am embodied. Then is it difficult for everybody? Is Advaita Vedanta therefore the worship of the unmanifest not open to anybody at all? No, that is not what he is saying. Now what happens is those who worship the form only, they take this and therefore they use this as their only definition. You have to remember that this is contextual. And very clearly, therefore, he says it is troublesome. Now, for example, let me ask you. You take a... let me pick this up here. This is the object. And I want you now to, for the next, till one class, 7 days, spend your entire time in focusing your attention on this. How much time will you be able to do it? Answer few seconds. And then it'll go. Now I change that and I put in front of you the form of your Ishta. Whatever that form is. It could be a Shivalinga, it could be a Jesus Christ, it could be a cross, it could be a moon and star, it could be a form of Devi, it could be a Krishna, it doesn't matter. I put a form, a physical form. Now what happens? Now there is huge amount of concentration that I can develop. Why? Because I look at myself as a body, it is easy for me to identify with another body. So now what I am doing? I am using the body as a tool to become disembodied. I am reflecting my own body outside, but in a more perfect form, in a better form. The beauty of Krishna is not my beauty. He is the embodiment of all beauty. He is the embodiment of all that is attractive. Akarshana karoti iti Krishnaha. That which attracts. Oh, and he's standing with the next to him is Alladini Shakti, Radha. And Radha's feet are covered. And then Radha's feet are slowly, the sari's lower part is removed. And I can see her two beautiful golden feet. Now look where your mind went. Your mind is completely... So when we look at all these guided meditations that they do, what is done over there? This is exactly what is done. So you are using the world of form and name to go beyond it. Which is what Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to say. Take the thorn, remove the thorn, throw away both. From the form to the formless is an easier journey. You cannot jump to the form. Sri Goswami Tulsidas ji says that अंतर्यामी राम अंतर्यामी है मगर उसको बाहर मुझे पूजना है क्योंकि बाहर से ही मैं उसे भीतर ला सकता हूं अंतर्यामी ते दुख भयो बाहर गामी सुख पायो बाहर गामी he saying when I attach him to that form standing there with the Kodanda Hasta, light blue in color, wearing saffron bark. Or I look at him as Ram Lala. I look at him as the Ram Darbar. It doesn't matter what my mind can create. Swami Vivekananda used to say, we create the gods that we want to worship. Yes, true. We create them in our mind, and then you attach them yourself over there. So if you are going to be saying, oh no, I am a jnani. Sorry, that is your ego speaking.
But you see, is Sant Tulsidas, is he refuting Lalita Sahasranamam?
No. He's saying
Bahirmukhi
Sudurlabha is Bahirmukhi, not in terms of the worship. Goswami Tulsidas is saying Bahirgami, my mind, my focus outside, to whom? To the Antaryami. So I take the Antaryami, put him outside. What do we do when we do a worship? Soham bhavena pujayet. That is the mantra that is used when we do the puja, isn't it? Deho devalaya prokto jiva devo sanatanaha. Jiva deva sanatanaha. Tyajjet ajnanam nirmalyam. Tyajjet ajnanam nirmalyam soham bhavena pujayet. This is the mantra used for prana pratishtha. My prana That is the eternal. I now invest in this. And at the end of the puja, what do I say? Shobhanarte punaragamanaya cha. Please now go back to where you were. And now I've realized you inside me. So the formless is very difficult to concentrate on, difficult to be sitting down and saying, I am formless. Then you are in Brahma. Because as long as you have a body and you have got an identification with the body, you are not formless. So what do? We use the form to go to the formless. That is how we will work towards Bhakti Yoga. That is the premise of Bhakti Yoga. Any
But
questions?
is it not the, okay, I know the aspect of praying to an external deity and all that, but is it not, when you are looking at who is getting the thought, is it not a method of contemplation that starts making you understand where those attachments are arising, and also then understand how to then break out of those attachments? Unless you contemplate on that, on that I that is beyond all of this, and then you realize, okay, it's beyond, but then why do I think that it is here, and why do you think this is part of this body? Then you start asking those whys. You start to realize where those relationships lie, and it becomes easier to break them.
Firstly, you don't realize. You understand. Two different things. Number one. Number two, yes, it is important to understand. I am not taking away contemplation. I am not taking up vichara. I am taking away vichara. I am not taking away studying the Prakarna Granthas. I am saying, however, how do I control my mind when in my day-to-day work, I have to go to office, Sudhir has to shout at his employees have to think very bad things about their boss, right? Now, I don't know whether Sudhir shouts at his employees or whether they think badly about him, but then I'm just using that as an example, right? I mean, these vichalan that is happening in my mind on a day-to-day basis, can I be contemplative at that point of time? No, I can't. Why? Because I'm still identified with that mind. So what do? I can then take that vichalan of my mind and offer it. Then offer it to whom? Now I need somebody to whom I can offer it, no? That somebody could be Guru, it could be Ganesha, and it doesn't matter. I'm just being alliterative. So whether it is Guru or it is Ganesha, it doesn't matter. You take that vichalan and you offer it. That is not something that your contemplation can do. Does this mean I should not contemplate? Oh, if you don't contemplate, this thought itself will not come. So contemplation sharpens the intellect. Devotion to a form helps you control the mind. And with both, what do you do with your body? Service. The attitude now changes and becomes service. That is the Pariupasana. That becomes Pariupasana. And this becomes much easier now. Because Krishna wants us to go back to, I'm sorry to paraphrase the ISKCON byline, Krishna wants us to go back to Godhead. So going back to Godhead, what is the methodology? You need that combination, contemplation, study of scripture, Shravanam, Mananan, Nididhyasan. At the same time, you also need to have a form and ishta. That is how we will progress. And then everything that you do becomes a service. So I have a bit of homework now. Every day, I want all of you, at the end of the day, do a mental run around of whatever happened through the day and examine your mind, what was it doing. That's all. Just a daily reflection on day's activities. Not from the physical point of view, but what was happening in my mind. Now, the moment you start doing this as a practice, what will I get? Oh, you will get nothing. What will you get is, you will understand, you will distance yourself from your mind, and you will understand you are not the mind. There were some things happening inside the mind. How will I now then offer that to the Lord? Oh, we will see that later. Let us first at least learn how to distance ourselves. ठीक है? चलिए. शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.